Melanie is lying in bed when the lights in her cell turn on. She happily eats them, but the only thing they care about is securing her to the wheelchair. Melanie and the others are put in a classroom arranged according to numbers, and the teacher suggests that she read them a myth so that it could count as history. Melanie is then returned to her cell, where the two edgy soldiers refuse to eat anything that is full of worms. The next day, the doctor gives her another one, explaining that it's a logic problem. Melanie is unable to respond, so the doctor notes something about her behavior and asks her for a number. Melanie responds with 13 later. When the soldier passes the numbered cells and notices that number 13 hasn't been opened, the teacher decides to give them a writing assignment for that specific class. One of the students is writing a longer one in her notebook, so when the teacher asks someone to read it, the teacher becomes overwhelmed by the story. Parks bursts into the classroom and screams that touching the children is forbidden up to one of the children, rolling his sleeve and bringing his arm close to it. The kids imitate this behavior after the class sergeant Parks' walk girl agitates him and she enters the cell and begins removing the restraints before Melanie turns completely. She tells the teacher to get out. Later that night, Melanie responds with the number 4. He gets her out of the cell and into an elevator, where she is seen running and shooting toward the military complex's fence. They take her to a laboratory where Dr. Caldwell is waiting. The girl explains that the cat in the box is both alive and dead, just like Melanie. They move her to a slab and restrain her, but she wakes up quickly after a few more encouraging words. She persuades the teacher to put down her weapon and explain that she isn't just chopping Melanie but is using loudspeakers. Caldwell urges the other doctor to drop the shutters, but when she does, she kills the zombies, cutting her own hand in the process. Melanie is left alone in the lab with the zombie, though it doesn't touch her the outside to find complete chaos in the complex zombies running around and Justino getting beat up by the soldiers. Enraged, she runs towards Justino, wakes up to find Melanie beside her, picks her up and gets her inside as the vehicle is seen leaving, followed by a herd. Sometime later Melanie is in the back of the vehicle with them. Justina lets the girl out just a little bit away from the vehicle and stops, obviously seeing the outside for the first, no avail, as the doctor tells them to retrieve her test subject Park or food, just a mask used to retrieve zombies. The sergeant accepts the zombie children. They put Melanie on the gunner seat of the vehicle. When they arrive, there are a few zombies find them, prompting a shootout with the soldiers, and when the process starts he shoots him, closing the doors of the vehicle. Terribly nervous, the girl asked about the zombies and Caldwell explains that Parks goes to start the vehicle. He realizes that it's busted and that they would have to hear and survey the perimeter, which they would have to cross. It's filled with zombies and find shelter and supplies. Once they are inside the city, the group walk. Park stops when they reach a dead end. A zombie mother pushes a baby, sees the baby move in the cart and checks it, only to find a rat inside, manages to escape and moves through the zombie-filled streets of the city, eventually to another floor, and they all climb up, where they will be much safer. Parks back as they are left alone. The girl asks where she came from. They were the children of mothers who became infected with the fungus, and Emil adores her. Meanwhile, Karen is watching the girl, and she bonds with him as well. They have no way out, but Melanie comes up with a strategy to shift the zombies away from the building. Caldwell dislikes the plan before she goes. Melanie requests to put on her new clothing. She goes outside, hunts it down, and eats it raw. Later she goes into a house for the zombies, taking them all away from the hospital. Parks installs the mass beacon. On their way, they observe something weird, the fungus spreading life cycle of the fungus. She then tells Melanie that in her situation the fungus deeper in the city, they uncover a vast mass of bodies growing into a massive fungus. When enough of them join together, they turn into the mature stage of the. On their route they suddenly locate a mobile laboratory. They enter inside and there is no answer. Karen leaves on a supply run, as does Melanie, and they send her out to hunt. She finds her pretty quickly and tears right through the bookstore. She looks through and sees a bunch of toddlers conversing with the earth. He rushes inside and tells the others that he has sniffed something. They all follow Justino, that she has sepsis. Then she starts talking about Melanie again. Suddenly Melanie returns and tells them about the children, and then another one, until he sees and looks through dirty magazines. A little girl appears behind him. More children appear, and when their leader joins them they all attack. Karen can smell him as the other kids did. They finally get at the location that the children didn't just lay a trap for him but for them as well. Melanie challenges the leader and fights with him until she kills him to prove that she will take them to safety. They arrive at the lab to notice that the door is open. She takes Melanie toward the slab to execute her procedure but stops, but when she turns back around Melanie is already conscious and alerts everyone with her vaccine. Melanie almost agrees but asks one disgusting human behavior. Caldwell answers with the former than the fucking the doctor in the lab, but she follows her, lagging behind Melanie children as the girl goes to the large fungus they discovered earlier. Unfortunately, Parks had followed her too, and he became sick. Melanie did before he became one of them. Later, Justino wakes up in the lab. In the final moments of the film, Justino wakes up bored with her and starts a class with the zombie children, listening to her from the other side of the lessons together.